from the post-millennial.
Oh, my goodness. Hold on.
You can't stop us. Stop policing my speech.
From the post-millennial, Kamala's Veep pick Tim Walz gave illegal immigrants in Minnesota driver's licenses, free health care, college. And, I mean, that's basically it. There was on the 5 today on Fox News, was it Judge Jeanine Pirro, is that her name? Mm-hmm. She was like, why give illegal immigrants driver's licenses? And then that liberal person they have on the show for some reason, she's like, so they can drive to their jobs. And then Judge Jeanine was like, but, you know, what was her response?
She said, but they are not going to have car insurance. Like,
right.
Sure. Call it for the accidents.
And it's the wrong answer. The right response is illegal immigrants aren't allowed to have jobs.
Yeah, what are
They're not legally allowed to work here.
They don't have work permits. They haven't filed their I-9 forms.
You know, in our state of North Carolina, where I live, there was this battle over voter ID. And the message was, once again, that blacks are not smart enough to get a ID card in time for an election.
Didn't Kamala Harris say that most black people don't know how to use photocopy machines?
Exactly.
Did she really say that?
Yeah.
She did. Just like Governor Hochul said in New York that many black kids don't know what a computer is.
There was such a funny Instagram post from this, kid in the Bronx, this black kid in the Bronx.
Right.
It was like him chasing his computer around the room, sniffing it. Like, what is that?
Like hitting it.
Yeah, like, whoa.
I want you to know, I'm not a black kid, but I do have a laptop. Here's a black man.
Somebody call Kathy Hochul right now.
Exactly. Call her. Take a picture of this.
She's going to be like, really?
Yes, I have one. My kids have one as well. But
just breaking all kinds of norms. This doesn't happen in the state of New York.
But this is the world they actually live in. And you know why? Sure. Because Kamala Harris is who they think represents black people.
True.
Mm-hmm.
But
And she probably doesn't know what a computer is.
Well, and they think Tim Walz represents Middle East, Middle American white people, even though he's really just like the Hollywood version of that.
It's him being like, I know a black woman, and he points to Kamala, and she's like, what's a computer? And they're like, see?
We don't know.
We don't know.
So they give the license to the criminal illegal aliens, but at the same time, blacks can't obtain their own license. And so it really makes no sense. There's always some additional asterisk or hurdle that the left puts out as a means of minorities not being able to come up to the status quo.
Yep.
And so I hate it. I despise it, Tim.
Do you know what the crime rate among illegal immigrants is?
If I had to guess, 50%.
Wrong.
100%.
100%.
Because they're all here illegally.
Oh, come on, man. See, now, you all have done this before. This is a
I have heard that before.
I know it. So you're setting me up. Come on, Tim.
I tweeted it a long time ago. I said the crime rate among illegal immigrants is 100%. Because they broke the law. They're illegal immigrants. That's what it is.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh,
but I think you're picking up on the thing that a lot of that basically mainstream media has taught us, which is like we're supposed to somehow forget that they're here illegally and just be like, they're a random person. Have they committed a crime? Like they're actively in the middle of a crime.
Right.
That's why it's so horrifying when I get the car insurance thing. It's so horrifying when there is an intoxicated illegal immigrant who doesn't have car insurance who causes a major accident or who commits some other crime because they are already illegally here. They are not supposed to be here. They're actively in the middle of a crime whilst committing another crime.
Everybody really enjoyed you being like, you got me. Like, what is it? You set me up.
Oh, you set me up. I
did.
That's a smooth one. you got me, too.
But I'm tired of hearing this from Democrats where they're like, you'll turn on MSNBC, and this is something that I think Jack Posobiec was saying of Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon says, watch MSNBC, and you'll know what their moves are going to be. But they always say things like, the crime rate among the undocumented immigrants is actually much lower than the native-born population. And that's blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. That's the lie. They broke the law to get in here. They overstayed their visas, breaking the law. That means 100% of them have committed crimes. Now, whether or not they're committing crimes beyond that, that's a different question. Right. So the appropriate way for Democrats to say it is, after the initial crime they committed of illegally entering or overstaying their visas, their crime rate beyond that is lower than of native-born Americans. Sure, if that's the case. But that's not what they say because they're trying to lie and manipulate people. They want you to believe that it's not illegal to enter this country through outside of our ports of entry.
Sure.
Or to overstay your visa. And remember, back in the Democratic primary in 2019, the Democrats were asked, how many of you would make border entries outside of a port of entry a civil offense and not a criminal offense, they all raised their hands. Now, what is the country going to look like if if anyone could just walk in whenever they want? There's no country.
No.
No, none at all. And what's amazing, Tim, is this. You know, I'm a pastor. I preach. I read the Word of God. Even the Bible speaks of building a wall. In the book of Nehemiah, that's the focus. The focus of that book is erecting a wall to protect the city. And so as I look at it today, even amongst the Christians that are out there, people of faith, you know, people who are believers, I don't understand why so many people have become duped and bought into the big lie that mass illegal immigration is the way forward for our country. Even this whole welfare state system mentality that was spurred on by and large by Lyndon B. Johnson through the Great Society, which sought to remove the black father from the home and to destroy the marriage ring. Even when you look at that, the Bible speaks to it and says that if a man doesn't work, neither shall he eat. So when you move away from just the gross ideologies of LGBTQ and the abortion topics, just towards economics and working and doing something with your life more than just waiting on a check from the government, one would see that clearly this party is doomed. It's doomed, and it's doomed, and they want to bring that doom to every doorstep in America. And if we're not careful, if we're not vigilant, if we don't fight back, then we're going to be in big trouble.
I like what you said about the wall. One of my favorite Catholic priests, I was listening to a sermon once, and he was saying, you know, heaven has gates, and so therefore it has walls. So therefore the border wall is God's law.
That's right.
And I thought that was great. I mean, I think there are things that religion teaches us because they are basic rules for society that make sense, and there are a part of our culture that has abandoned that, and it actually leaves people without basic tools to have successful lives. And then they look around and say, why don't I have these things? Why are things so difficult? Like, we are straying from the way we're supposed to live in pursuit of what?
So why do Democrats so often have the black vote tied up if they've been so bad for the community at large?
Because of racialized social constraint and the terrible job that many black pastors have done. There's this viral video going around of a black preacher speaking and in his congregation, and he's telling them that, hey, man, forget skin tone, forget color. We have made a God out of the LGBTQ agenda and out of blackness, you know? And that message is going viral. It's all over social media. It would probably be easy to find. But it's a video that really speaks to the heart of why we're in the mess that you just mentioned. Why are so many blacks supporting the Democrat Party? It's because, by and large, many blacks receive their talking points for politics from the pulpit, right? It's what the pastor is saying.
Really?
And if the pastor preaches a more liberal gospel, then the church just buys into it. Oftentimes, they don't fact check. They just go along with the big lie and the false narrative.
Oh, man.
You know, and it's sad, but that's by and large true, you know, and that's why some can be placed in the bucket of being a low information voter, you know, but they're voting against things that biblically the Bible speaks, voting for things that biblically the Bible speaks against. And so when you consider that, the role of people like myself fighting, you know, the battle every single day and trying to convince as many minorities as possible, it's a heavy burden. It's a major task. And one of the things that I am seeing that slowly but surely we're chipping away at the false narrative, but the blame should be laid at the feet of many pastors and people not taking personal accountability for gaining their own information.
I find the perversion of faith to be very sad, very sad.
True.
And I even apply this to the left, right? Because I talked to I should say many of the culture warriors of the 2010s. I was much late to the game, but in the early days, you have people like Shoe on Head, you had Carl Benjamin, of course, and they're still very much active. These are individuals who don't like bigotry and racism and hatred. And so we all come from this generation where we're like, we just want to be friends, live and let live, you know, relatively liberal. But then the wokeness takes that and perverts it into something evil They start segregating people based on race. They start advocating for graduation ceremonies for black people and then for white people. They set up in Dearborn, Michigan, they had the virtual cafes for POC and non-POC, they called it. They did the same thing in Seattle. That's the antithesis of what we were trying to do by bringing people together. And then they call it anti-racism to actually advocate for segregation. That is the perversion of an ideology into its darkest form.
Right. Well, the Ibram Kendi style of anti-racism is really just true racism. It really is.
Yep.
You know, Ibram Kendi said the best way to deal with past racism is present racism. And that is to be condescending and racist towards whites and push the narrative of critical race theory and label whites as inherently racist and blacks are victims. And, you know, I don't go along with the whole victimhood mentality stuff. You know, I've come in contact with good blacks and bad blacks, good whites and bad whites, and so on and so forth for any other ethnicity. But at the end of the day, I choose whether or not I'm a victim or not. Mm-hmm. I have a choice in being a victim. I choose that. And in this country where people are fighting to get in, risking their lives to get into America, you want me to believe that America today is a racist nation?
Well, that's what we're going to hear from Kamala Harris for the next 4 years. If she gets into the White House, we're going to hear about how she's oppressed.
Yeah, and
how the leader of the free world is oppressed.
It's a big lie. That is a tool to keep blacks on the liberal plantation and to keep them angry and feeling as if they have no accountability, no personal accountability in their upward mobility. When you consider a Pew Research Center study that was done in 2019, it depicted that there were 4.6 million black immigrants living in the U.S. at that time. And by 2060, that number was going to balloon maybe 5 to 10 times over that amount. And so when you consider that the number of black immigrants are steadily increasing and people are coming to this country, how come they're not getting the memo that America is a racist nation? They're not getting that memo because it's not, but people are coming to America for a land flowing with milk and honey. They want life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Consider this, if America is a racist nation, how did Barack Obama win 2 presidential elections in 2008 and in 2012? I told you earlier that blacks only make up 13% of the overall population in the U.S. So in order for a black man to win, it's going to take a lot of white people voting for him. If America is such a racist nation, then why does the median income, the highest medium income owners of that level, earners rather, why does that belong to Asians? And the highest earners in America are Indians. Why does it belong to Indians and not whites? And so this whole narrative of America being a racist nation, that is a tool. It is a plan. And every 2 to 4 years, someone comes to the barbershop, comes to the beautician, goes to the local church, they campaign, and they tell black people that you can't make it in this nation. My father came to America in the 70s. All right. I'm a African American. My mother was born in the U.S. My father's from Nigeria. And he came to this country destitute. He didn't have anything. My father has started nearly 10 businesses since he's been in the U.S. There are many opportunities in this country, but the intent of the Democrat Party and the intent of Marxism is to convince people that there are no opportunities here, destroy capitalism, and socialism is the best way forward.
Larry Elder talks about this a little bit. He tells the story of his father who, he said, I think he would say his mom was a Democrat, his dad was a Republican, and they would talk about it. But his dad, you know, and I'm not going to do justice to the stories, but left home at an extremely young age, 15, and you know, ultimately built a successful business, I think died a millionaire. And it was this narrative that I don't know that, definitely young black men, but I think a lot of young Americans are starting to believe that there's no opportunity in this country and that there is no path forward towards success. And there's then you get these studies produced by the U.S. federal government that says, hey, it turns out all of our teens are reporting high rates of hopelessness. They don't believe that there is a future. I wonder why.
Yeah, and part of that stems from the lack of humility in the culture. people are just so entitled and narcissistic, and it's me. I want. Someone give me something. I don't want to work. I don't want to put in the effort. If the job is that I have to slide 2 inches to the left, that's too much. You know what I mean? If the job is I have to slide 2 inches to the right, you're asking too much of me. And so as Americans, we have become rather lazy. The American ignorance is at an all-time high. The American arrogance is at an all-time high. And we are in the midst of a terrible election. And it's imperative that people begin to understand what means the most and what's most important. The value systems that our country was founded upon are the value systems that we need more of today. The value systems of one, working with your hands, laboring and toiling and conquering and building, being an entrepreneur, and the system of capitalism. These are the things that's going to move the culture and society forward. But Democrats want to destroy that notion. They're not talking about our true freedoms and liberties. They want to remind kids in the school system that, hey, man, let's do away with the 1776. Let's go towards the 1619 project. And sadly, there are many parents who are duped as well. They don't understand what's going on. And so they've bought into the big lie, and they keep their kids in the public school system as they are being indoctrinated.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you all there.